Hello, my name is Jessica and I'm from Montem Primary School.
Hello, my name is George. I'm a big issue vendor.
How much does it cost to buy and sell a magazine?
Well, yeah, I have to buy the magazine for £1.25 and then I sell it for £2.50. So I'll make £1.25 in every magazine that I sell. It's a bit like a shop. A shop buys in stock and then it sells it on for a profit. So I'm like a mini shop.
What is the hardest thing about selling the magazine?
Well, the hardest thing sometimes is the weather. If it's really cold, or cold wind, or driving rain. But the other thing that is often quite difficult is maybe more emotional when people ignore you all the time, when you're doing your very best to try and sell the magazine and people walk by and just ignore you, and you can lose spirit, you get a bit disheartened after a while. So they're the kind of hardest things, the weather and being ignored, yeah.
Okay. What do you enjoy about being a big issue vendor?
What I enjoy is meeting people and having little chats with people, and because most big issue vendors sell at the same place every day, so you get to see the same people, so you get to know people and have little chats, and you know what's happening in people's lives, and it's almost like you become friends with many people, you know that many people. So that's a nice bit of selling the big issue.
So it's like communication.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mixing with people, and if you like meeting people, selling the big issue is good.
How did the big issue start?
How did the big issue start? Well, there was a man called Gordon Broderick. And his wife was Anita Broderick, and she ran the body shop. And they were on holiday in New York in the 1980s, and they saw a guy who was selling, it was like sheets of paper he put together almost like a newspaper. And this was his view on the politics of the day. And that gave them the idea to start a magazine for people that were homeless. So they came back to the UK and they got John Bird to set it up. John Bird very much was in, the new John Bird, and John Bird set up the magazine. And so it was Gordon Broderick's idea, but John Bird really made the magazine happen. He was the one that operationalised it. It started in London. It started, the first magazines were sold almost 26 years ago in Trafalgar Square. And at that point, they weren't magazines, they were like newspapers.
Oh.
Yeah, they had a kind of newspaper kind of format. So.
What other countries sell the big issue?
Oh, I think there are 10 or 12 other countries where the big issue is called the big issue. So like in Australia and in South Korea, South Africa, is sold as the big issue. But there's about 120 other countries where there's an equivalent magazine, not called the big issue, it'll be called something in the native language, but they took the idea from the big issue. So the big issue really started in over 100 countries in the world. It really started in London and then it spread all over the world. It was such a good idea that so many other places have copied it.
Why did you start selling the big issue?
Well, it's a long story. I worked for many years, and that came to an end around about the time of the financial crash, just after that. And I ended up, the consequence of the crash, I lost a lot of money, and lost a lot of money in the house that I just bought. I had to sell it and sold it for less money than it was worth, and I was financially wiped out. And I came to London, I had a relative here, he said, come to London, make a fresh start. And I came here, and within a couple of weeks he was diagnosed and was dead as a consequence of the cancer in the brain. So I found myself on the streets and I had no money, and I saw someone selling the big issue and I thought, well, I'll find out where to go and start selling it, and that's when it started.
How has your life improved since selling the big issue?
Well, when I first started selling, I didn't have a place to stay. I walked about the street at night, and gradually, first of all, I get a room in a hostel where there were 20 other people, 10 bunk beds, all in the one room, and it was hard to sleep. People coming and going, getting up for the toilet, coming in late, leaving early, and there were mice running about the floor, and it was dreadful. But it was a roof over your head, and you could do a laundry and have a shower in the morning. And I've kind of gradually moved up the hierarchy, and I have my own room now. It's en suite, and I'm hoping to start up my own business, and Big Issue are helping with that as well. So Big Issue's made a big difference in my life. It's made a big difference from where I started to where I am now, and I'm very grateful for it.
So what's inside the Big Issue? Like, what do they do to like help people? And
well, there's the Big Issue magazine, and there's all the people involved in the printing of the magazine and writing the stories, and like any magazine or any television company, you have like reporters and go out and get stories and interview people. But there's another side to the Big Issue, and it's called the Big Issue Foundation. And what they do is they help people who have been homeless, who are homeless, maybe to get ID, or if they get offer of a flat or accommodation, they'll maybe help them to get a bed or to get a fridge. And they also help people to move into employment. So we're being interviewed here in Wellcome Trust, and there's a possibility that I could end up maybe getting some work in Wellcome Trust, because some of the things that Wellcome Trust are involved in are things that I'm very interested in. So the Big Issue Foundation help with all these different things, and so that's another side, there's another aspect to the Big Issue. Most people are familiar with people selling the magazine, but the Big Issue Foundation often makes big differences in people's lives.
so this is our last question.
Okay.
Have you ever met James and his cat Bob?
Yeah, Bob the cat. Bob the cat is famous in Big Issue land, and there was a recent film out in Bob the cat, and Bob the cat is a really cool cat. He's used to people, and if you ask him to give you a high five, he goes like that and gives you a high five. Yeah, so he's a really cool cat. I sat once with him at a Big Issue kind of charity event, and there were hundreds of people, and they were getting selfies with the cat and taking photographs of the cat. All these flashes were all going off, and the cat Bob just sat there and just took it all in, right? You would expect a cat to get a bit spooked and maybe get frightened, but not Bob the cat. He was really cool. Loved the camera.
So thank you for having us in.
Well, thanks, Jess. They've been very good questions, and it's always great to speak to you. Thanks very much.